Joyous astral festivities on the higher astral planets like hironyaloka take place when a being is liberated from the astral world through spiritual advancement and is therefore ready to enter the heaven of the causal world. On such occasions, the invisible Heavenly Father and the saints who are merged in Him materialize themselves into bodies of their own choice and join the astral celebration. In order to please His beloved devotee, the Lord takes any desired form. If the devotee worshipped through devotion, he sees God as the Divine Mother. To Jesus, the Father aspect of the Infinite One was appealing beyond the other conceptions. The individuality with which the Creator has endowed each of His creatures makes every conceivable and inconceivable demand on the Lord's versatility. My Guru and I left together. Friends of other lives easily recognize one another in the astral world. Master went on in his beautiful voice, rejoicing as the immortality of friendship. They realized the indestructibility of love, often doubted at the time of the sad delusive partings of earthly life. The intuition of astral beings pierces through the veil and observes human activities on earth, but man cannot view the astral world unless his sixth sense is somewhat developed. Thousands of earth dwellers have momentarily glimpsed an astral world. The advanced beings on hironyaloka remain mostly awake in ecstasy during the long astral day and night, helping to work out intricate problems of cosmic government and redemption of prodigal sons, earthbound souls. When the hironyaloka beings sleep, they have occasional dreamlike astral visions. Their minds are usually engrossed in the conscious state of highest nirvikalpa bliss. Inhabitants in all parts of the astral world are still subject to mental agonies. The sensitive mind of the higher beings on planets like hironyaloka feel keen pain if any mistake is made in conduct or perception of truth. These advanced beings endeavor to attune their every act and thought with the perfection of spiritual law. Communication among the astral inhabitants is held entirely by astral telepathy and television. There is none of the confusion and misunderstanding of the written and spoken word which earth dwellers must endure. Just as persons on the cinema screen appear to move and act through a series of light pictures and do not actually breathe, so the astral beings walk and work as intelligently guided and coordinated images of light. Man depends upon solids, liquids, gases, and energy from sustenance. Astral beings sustain themselves principally by cosmic light. Mastermind, do astral beings eat anything? I was drinking in his marvelous elucidations with the receptivity of all my faculties, mind, heart, soul. Superconscious perceptions of truth are permanently real and changeless. while fleeting sense experiences and impressions are never more than temporarily or relatively true, and soon lose in memory all their vividness. Luminous lay-like vegetables abound in the astral soils. The astral beings consume vegetables and drink nectar flowing from glorious fountains of light and from astral brooks and rivers. Just as invisible images of persons on the earth can be dug out of the ether and made visible by a television apparatus, later being dismissed again into space, so the God created unseen astral blueprints of vegetable and plants floating in the ether are precipitated on astral planets by the will of its inhabitants. In the same way, from the wildest fancy of these beings, or gardens of fragrant flowers are materialized, returning later to the etheric invisibility. Although dwellers on the heavenly planets like hironyaloka are almost freed from any necessity of eating, still higher is the unconditioned existence of almost completely liberated souls in the causal world who eat nothing save the manna of bliss. The earth's liberated astral being meets a multitude of relatives, fathers, mothers, wives, husbands, and friends acquired during different incarnations on earth. As they appear from time to time in various parts of the astral realm, he is therefore at a loss to understand whom to love especially. He learns in this way to give a divine and equal love to all, as children and individualized expressions of God. Though the outward appearance of loved ones may have changed more or less according to the development of new qualities in the latest life of any particular soul, the astral being employs his unerring intuition to recognize all those once dear to him in other planes of existence and to welcome them to their new astral home. Because every atom in creation is inextinguishably dowered with individuality, an astral friend will be recognized no matter what costume he may don, even as on earth an actor's identity is discoverable by close observation despite any disguise. The span of life in the astral world is much longer than on earth. A normal advanced astral being's average life period is from 500 to 1,000 years, measured in accordance with earthly standards of time. As certain redwood trees outlive most trees by millenniums, or as some yogis live several hundred years through, most men die before the age of 60. So some astral beings live much longer than the usual span of astral existence. Visitors to the astral world dwell there for a longer or shorter period in accordance with the weight of their physical karma, which draws them back to earth within a specific time. The astral being does not have to contend painfully with death at the time of shedding his luminous body. Many of these beings nevertheless feel slightly nervous at the thought of dropping their astral form for the subtler causal one. The astral world is free from unwilling death, disease, and old age. These three dreads are the curse of earth, where man has allowed his consciousness to identify himself almost wholly with the frail physical body, requiring constant aid from air, food, and sleep in order to exist at all. Physical death is attended by the disappearance of breath and disintegration of fleshly cells. Astral death consists of the disbursement of life those manifests units of energy which constitute the life of astral beings. At physical death, a being loses his consciousness of flesh and becomes aware of his subtle body in the astral world. Experiencing astral death is death in due time. A being thus passes from the consciousness of astral birth and death to that of physical birth and death. These recurrent cycles of astral and physical encasement are the ineluctable destiny of all unenlightened beings. Scriptural definitions of heaven and hell sometimes stir man's deeper than subconscious memories of his long series of experiences in the blithesome astral and disappointing terrestrial worlds. Beloved Master, will you please describe more in detail the difference between rebirth on the earth and in the astral and causal spheres? Man as an individualized soul is essentially causal bodied. That body is a matrix of the 35 ideas required by God as the basic or casual thought forces from which he later formed the subtle astral body of 19 elements and the gross physical body of 16 elements. The 19 elements of the astral body are mental, emotional, and life-tronic. The 19 components and intelligence: ego, feeling, mind, sense consciousness. 5 instruments of knowledge, the subtle counterparts of the senses of sight, hearing, smell, taste, touch. 5 instruments of action, the mental correspondence for the executive abilities to procreate, excrete, talk, walk, and exercise manual skill, and 5 instruments of life force, those empowered to perform the crystallizing, assimilating, eliminating, metabolizing, and circulating function of the body. This subtle astral encasement of 19 elements survives the death of the physical body, which is made of 16 gross chemical elements. God thought out different ideas within himself and projected them into dreams. Lady Cosmic Dream thus sprang out, decorated in all her colossal, endless ornaments of relativity. In 35 thought categories of the causal body, God elaborated all the complexities of man's 19 astral and 16 physical counterparts. By condensation of vibratory forces, first subtle then gross, he produced man's astral body and finally his physical form, according to the law of relativity by which the prime simplicity has become the bewildering manifold. The causal cosmos and causal body are different from the astral cosmos and astral body. The physical cosmos and physical body are likewise characteristically at variance with the other forms of creation. The fleshly body is made of the fixed, objectified dreams of the Creator. The dualities are ever present on earth: disease and health, pain and pleasure, loss and gain. Human beings find limitations and resistance in three-dimensional matter. When man's desire to live is severely shaken by disease or other causes, death arrives. The heavy overcoat of the flesh is temporarily shed. The soul, however, remains encased in the astral and causal bodies. The cohesive force by which our three bodies are held together is desire. The power of unfulfilled desires is the root of all of man's slavery. Physical desires are rooted in egotism and sense pleasures. The compulsion or temptation of sensory experience is more powerful than the desire force connected with astral attachment. Or causal perceptions. Astral desires center around enjoyment in terms of vibrations. Astral beings enjoy the ethereal music of the spheres and are entranced by the side of earth creation as exhaustless expressions of changing light. The astral beings also smell, taste, and touch light. Astral desires are thus connected with an astral being's power to precipitate all objects and experiences as forms of light or as condensed thoughts or dreams. Causal desires are fulfilled by perception only. The nearly free beings who are encased only in the causal body see the whole universe as a realization of the dream ideas of God. They can materialize anything and everything in sheer thought. Causal beings therefore consider the enjoyment of physical sensations or astral delights as gross and suffocating to the soul's fine sensibilities. Causal beings work out their desires by materializing them instantly. Those who find themselves covered only by the delicate veil of the causal body can bring universes into manifestation even as the creator. Because our creation is made of the cosmic dream texture, the soul thinly clothes in the causal as vast realization of power. A soul being invisible by nature can be distinguished only by the presence of its body or bodies. The mere presence of a body signifies that its existence is made possible by unfulfilled desires. So long as the soul of man is encased in one, two, or three body containers, sealed tightly with the corks of ignorance and desires, it cannot merge with the sea of spirit. When the gross physical receptacle is destroyed by the hammer of death, the other two coverings, astral and causal, still remain to prevent the soul from consciously joining the omnipresent life. When desirelessness is attained through wisdom, its power disintegrates the two remaining vessels. The tiny human soul emerges free at last. It is one with the measureless amplitude. I asked my divine Guru to shed further light on the high and mysterious causal world. The causal world is indescribably subtle. In order to understand it, one would have to possess such tremendous powers of concentration that he could close his eyes and visualize the astral cosmos and the physical cosmos in all their vastness. The luminous balloon with the solid basket as existing in ideas only. If by this superhuman concentration one succeeded in converting or resolving the two cosmoses with all their complexities into sheer ideas, he would then reach the causal world and stand on the borderline of fusion between mind and matter. There one perceives are created things, solids, liquids, gases, electricity, energy, all beings, gods, men, animals, plants, bacteria, as forms of consciousness. Just as man can close his eyes and realize that he exists, even though his body is invisible to his physical eyes and is present only as an idea. Whatever a human being can do in fancy, a causal being can do in reality. The most colossal imaginative human intelligence is able, in mind only, to range from one extreme of thought to another, to skip mentally from planet to planet, or tumble endlessly down a pit of eternity, or soar rocket-like into the galaxy canopy, or scintillate like a searchlight over Milky Ways and starry spaces. But beings in the causal world have a much greater freedom and can effortlessly manifest their thought into objectivity, without any material or astral obstruction or karmic limitation. Causal beings realize that the physical cosmos is not primarily constructed of electrons, nor is the astral cosmos basically composed of electrons, but in reality are created from the minutest particles of God thought, chopped and divided by Maya, the law of relativity that apparently intervenes to separate the creation from its creator. Souls in the causal world recognize one another as an individualized point of joyous spirit. Their thought things are the only objects that surround them. Causal beings see the difference between their bodies and thoughts to be merely ideas. As a man, closing his eyes, can visualize a dazzling white light or a faint blue haze, so causal beings by thought alone are able to see, hear, smell, taste, touch. They create anything or dissolve it by the power of cosmic mind. Both death and rebirth in the causal world are in thought. Causal-bodied beings feast only on the ambrosia of eternally new knowledge. They drink from the springs of space, roam on the trackless soil of perceptions, swim in the ocean endlessness of bliss. Lo, see their bright thought-bodied zoom past trillions of spirit-created planets, fresh bubbles of universes, wisdom stars, spectral dreams of golden nebulae on the sky bosom of infinity. Many beings remain for thousands of years in the causal cosmos. By deeper ecstasies, the soul then withdraws this self from the little causal body and puts on the vastness of the causal cosmos. All the separate eddies of ideas, particularized waves of power, love, will, joy, peace, intuition, calmness, self-control, and concentration melt into the ever-joyous sea of bliss. No longer does the soul have to experience its joy as an individualized wave of consciousness, but is merged in the one cosmic ocean with all its waves, eternal laughter, thrills, throbs. When a soul is out of the cocoon of the three bodies, it escapes forever from the law of relativity and becomes the ineffable ever-existent. Behold the butterfly of omnipresence, its wing etched with stars and moons and suns. The soul expanded into spirit remains alone in the region of lightless light, darkless dark, thoughtless thought, intoxicated with its ecstasy of joy in God's dream of cosmic creation. A free soul. When a soul finally gets out of the three jars of bodily delusions, it becomes one with the infinite without any loss of individuality. Christ had won this final freedom even before he was born as Jesus. In 3 stages of his past, symbolized in his earth life as the 3 days of his experience of death and resurrection, he had attained the power to fully arise in spirit. The underdeveloped man must undergo countless earthly and astral and causal incarnations in order to emerge from his three bodies. A master who achieves this final freedom may elect to return to earth as a prophet or a prophet to bring other human beings back to God. Or like myself, he may choose to reside in the astral cosmos. There, a savior assumes some of the burden of the inhabitant karma and thus help them to terminate their cycle of reincarnation in the astral cosmos and go on permanently to the causal spheres. Or a freed soul may enter the causal world to aid its beings to shorten their span in the causal body and thus attain absolute freedom.